got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles, and I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together, we can see it through. 'Cause you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy, and as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our day
now. Oh, did it take the song off? Oh, that's it. That was it. That's it. You guys want to hear something else? Let's see if I can put another song in while we're waiting. So go ahead and share this video. I'm believing that David Jose is coming on with me, hopefully, and going to stay this time. Yes, I did not like the song I picked the first time. I was like, what was that? Okay, so hold on a second. Gosh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. So I was able to pick a song, and I was able to pick a song. Sorry. Son has got me cracking up. He's a comedian. You have no idea. Go ahead. Tell him. Christian, what's his name? What's his name? Christian. What's his Pennywise? Do Pennywise. Ready? Do Pennywise. Do Pennywise. That don't look like Pennywise. Hey everybody. All right, so we're gonna get serious here, though. I'm hoping to have David Jose on. You guys join. I'm gonna start just sharing this live right now, and basically we're gonna talk about two things. We're gonna talk about advocates. We're gonna talk about advocates, if you guys are interested, and then I'm gonna talk about how America has been punished for protecting your rights. Every single right that you have. Literally, practically down to the right of breathing. Yeah, the right of breathing. So go ahead and invite your friends. And let me just quickly share this. And we should be good. We should be good here. All right. So welcome, everybody. I see you on. Welcome. Okay, so how's everybody doing today? If you have any questions that you'd like to ask for advocates, because I know there's a lot of stuff going around, and you know what I was going to talk about today? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I'm going to talk about the accusations of me. Yes, I am. And that's why I'm waiting on David to get here. So I'm going to talk about the accusations of me. Oh, my goodness. Okay, hang on. So let's get this shared out. And is something wrong? Is the sound wrong or something? There it is. Pennywise. You got to see him when I've done him in makeup before. I did him in makeup last year. Oh, man. I did a good job, didn't I, Christian? All right. You can go. It actually says that it went through.
No, it doesn't.
Yep. It does. See? It went through. There it goes. So go. Go check it, please. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
They didn't say anything.
Yeah, it went through. We can go check it. All right, let's get this shared on all the pages. And shared in the groups, guys. And shared on the watch parties. And hi, Danae. Nice to see you. Hi, Sergio. and Joanne and Samantha and Christy and John and Ashley. I know I need my magic mirror. I see Sarah and Matt and Edwin and Paul. Are you here too? All right. So let's talk about what I want to talk about today. So today I'm actually going to be talking about, I'm only going to give it a few minutes, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. There's like these crazy accusations out, and one of the crazy accusations is by a woman who is like a pathological liar. And I guess she's going around, I don't know if she's doing it public, or she's going privately to people. Somebody came to me last night and was telling me about it. They already know I have a saying, it's called out to lunch and there's no restaurant. You've heard the saying, that person's out to lunch. Well, this person is so far out to lunch that there isn't even a restaurant. I think that's pretty funny. So anyway, she's claiming that I am facing 60 days in jail. So I'm going to talk about that. And how people tell half-truths and lies and so on, and how they just gang stalk and target. And so I wanted to kind of talk about advocates. And so I was actually, let me see if David's coming on, because he knew about this, but I wasn't able to get on here when I wanted to. So I'm here now. Because for one reason or another, hey Moon, how are you? How come your picture's not showing? So I wanted to kind of go over this with you guys, but you guys know that I wrote a book, and the book is called Punish for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court. So you know how like me and David kind of like balance each other out, because his emphasis is CPS, my emphasis is family court, and technically it's the same thing though. And so we have let you guys understand that is the same thing. Hold on. I'm not sure who that is. I don't know where he gets the comedy from. I don't know where he gets the personality from. Hold on. We ordered something and we're just waiting. It's his birthday tomorrow. You guys want to say happy birthday to Christian? Christian will be 12. Christian will be 12 tomorrow. And he's a little comedian. All right. So nothing's come back yet, so I don't know. Just all I can tell. Oh, here. Wait, what's this part right here? Is this it? Yep. This is the last one. I don't know. I asked when.
What did they say?
Everything was sent to them.
When you sent it to them, what did they say?
Okay, go check it. All right, so I hope this isn't boring today. I'm usually more animated than this, right? Okay, so I wanted to talk about that because if you guys read the book, hi there, by the way. If you guys read the book, you would have seen that inside my story, which I wrote, right, and it came out 2018. Inside the story, I tell the whole story. Now, I'm not telling 12 years worth. I'm telling little bits about everything that led up to 2017, January 3rd, 2017, which, mind you, you guys know that I did the January 3rd big, giant citizens arrest day that I wanted to do where we were going after and exposing, not just exposing judges, but we wanted them arrested for their crimes against mankind, right? So, gosh, I got like everybody calling and all kinds of stuff. So the reason that what happened was, if going back, and let me see, I actually probably have some stuff here, but going back around that time, you know, you don't normally hear me talking about my story. I do because I'm a public speaker, so I have to tell my story a lot, you know, but I leave it very, it's in the book, pretty much. It's in the book, the whole story. It's a true story. And it happened out of advocating. It happened out of complete and utter retaliation and advocating, and the story is like, it's not very thick, you know, it's an easy read. It's good for people. I think it's important that people read it because, especially if you're going through it, it's very encouraging, it's very empowering, and then you can see the rest of the story that manifested after in the couple of years now that we're just about done taking the system completely down, which to me is like so powerful. They're playing with my Facebook numbers again now. I'm laughing hysterically because I know there's not 10 people watching. I know it's impossible that there's 10 people watching, but that's what Facebook does. Now, you've seen the other day, it like kicked up to like 100 in a blink of an eye. So there's Facebook has been monitoring my stuff for such a while, and I've often said, geez, I mean, we're literally taking down the child trafficking industry. You know, we're taking down the child trafficking industry, and somebody's upset about it, you know, and I think it's kind of ironic. But I'm telling you guys this because, like, here's what happened is that I have what's like a federally protected address, my son and I, and it's in every state. In the state of New York, actually, there's like laws that state that you cannot be served, and nobody can be served other than through the system. If you're going to go to court for something, we know that they're fake courts or what have you. But the reason I'm telling you that is because back in 2017, when they stole, hold on, just a moment. I'm not going to speak about this just yet. I told you to hold on one second, guys. Hold on. I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to talk about this in front of him. So I just want to wait for him to completely leave. He goes to the other end of the house. Other side, way other side. Okay, yeah, fastest book. That's right. So, hi guys. Hello, I see you new ones coming on here. So what happened, and it's interesting because if you look in the green here, like this is how I know. If you look in the green, it says Francesca, Model, Holly, Dyke, and 30 others are watching with you. Then when you look up here, you see this number, 10. So we know that that's like nonsense. And the counts are never right. Like, I don't care whose video it is. You'll see a live number, and then when the video's over, you'll see like 2,000 views. How can 10 people make 2,000 views? You know what I'm saying? They're just, it's just crazy. So, or whatever it may be. So, okay, so let me just check on, I ordered something for Christian and it didn't come through for some reason for his birthday. Okay, so what had happened back in 2017, and if you guys read the book, and I really highly recommend it, not just because it's my story, but then you can get to know me better, get to know about me, and that everything I've said is true. Like, when you write a book, first of all, you have to get approval and you have to get a publicist. And then at that point, they are going to deem the book whatever it is. Like, is it a fiction? Is it a true story? You know, is it, what kind of a story is it? Is it a thriller? So this was deemed a true story because it's exactly a true story. There's everything true about it. It is truthful, and it is 100% honest. And actually, the arrest transcript is in the book. Now, I was never legally served properly, and just to let you guys know, the reason I'm coming out here today to tell you all this is that, and talk about the life of an advocate, and any other advocates, if you guys advocate, I'd like to kind of have you come in here and talk a little bit, because I understand the life of somebody who advocates for others. I get that, and I get what you give up to do this for people, and I get that every time you try to go back into normal life, it doesn't happen because there's so many people in need all over the place, right? In a situation like this. And then, you know, you're the one that God has called with the expertise to be able to deal with it. So the cool thing is that every day I get messages from people that, you know what, you made that phone call to the precinct, and you made that phone call to the court, or you made that phone call to CPS, and like my case just turned around. So it's like, okay, yeah, we're doing the right thing here. We're doing the right thing, and this is happening, and like, you know, just had, you know, things get dismissed and things get, you know, whatever, what have you. So, hold on a second. Okay, so what happened is that, back in 2017, let's go back a little bit. Back in 2016, in May of 2016, from another fraudulent court, I finally got a protection order for my son too. So I've always had them, but I finally got one for my son. And it was because we sat there for 2 hours, and we were immediately taken before a judge. And it was after evaluating and talking to my son and looking at like stacks and stacks and stacks of stuff, that the family court in Ulster continuously ignored. Okay. Now, back in 2014, okay, I was in a trial that lasted over a year. So it went from 2014 all the way to 2015. And my trial went alongside the murder trial of you can look him up, Mason DeCosmo. And I advocated on behalf of the father in this particular case, because he wasn't allowed to get near his child. And you know, it makes you sick when you hear, if you see something, say something, but you're like, who do you say it to? Because we know that the system is so wicked and vile and evil that whenever children are actually being abused, they ignore it. They don't indicate it. They ignore it. They don't do anything about it. And so the child ends up like Mason, he literally ended up dead. And at that time, many people had schooled Amy Ingram, the child attorney that was put on my son, which to me, that is such an offense. And people don't think this way. They're not thinking outside the box. They're just tolerating and accepting all the nonsense given by these fake fraudulent courts to people. And they hate Tony. And Tony, I'm working on something, by the way, with regards to what you and I talked about. So there's some good stuff happening. Okay. So, you know, I, on the other hand, and I'm sure many of you are like, something's wrong here. Like, who are you to put, you're going to put a child attorney on my child's that we don't approve of, that I don't approve of, or what have you. And a child attorney, and like we see with these guardian ad litem and these child attorneys, and actually prior to this happening in 2014, I learned this later, and just think about this now, that the fraudulent family court in Ulster County was behind. So like in 2009, when they changed it to attorneys for children, they were calling them advocates, okay? They were calling them advocates, and they weren't advocates. So the first person that was there, Nussbaum, Steve Nussbaum, his name was, he actually advocated for the protection of my son. He actually did the right thing. But then when my son started disclosing stuff to him, he got right off the case. He got right off. He just didn't want to do it. So I didn't know if he didn't want to do it because he had a conscience and it bothered him and he knew that the court would just not do the right thing. Till this day, I really don't know. Or if he just got off because he seemed a little burnt out, okay? I don't know. I can't say. But they put this Amy Ingram on, and from the very second I went over and said hi to her, you know, I introduced myself, she put her head down and was a complete bitch to me. There's no other nice way to say it, because that's what she was. So I was just like, wow, weird. But what it was that they had actually changed the rule to child attorney back in 2009, and the court didn't catch on to that until 2014. So then we had this this trial, which, like I told you, it went alongside a murder trial, and mine lasted longer. Hello? Like, really? But it's just bizarre. So here I am becoming more and more. I'm advocating for families. I'm literally just like, I get the public library room, and what I would do is I would just put a little post up, and like, I was like, whoa, my rooms would be packed, and there would be fathers and mothers in there. Matter of fact, I paid about $400, and I did a documentary film. And I had all these families testify about what was happening and naming the judges. And my God, McGinty was named like 100 times over. And then all these other judges from all these counties. And then I had like some families that literally hopped from court to court to court. And it was like allowed. And just all this insanity. None of it made sense. So I'm learning as I'm going, you know. I'm learning as I'm going about how tragic this is. And so I'm saying, like, you know, you go in. And so I did over a year of trial. And the same exact way we walked in is exactly how we walked out. So I had professionals on the stand, you know, like we do it the right way, so you think. And I had personal character references on the stand, and professionals on the stand, and even an expert. And it didn't matter. And I'm like, this is insane. So like, now you're burnt out from like a year's of trial while you're working full time supporting a child and living your life. And then the other person just keeps taking you to court and taking you to court. So that you guys understand, I was taken to court every single month. And now we're hitting year 12. Okay, that's insane. And that's in my book. How do you go to court once a month or twice a month for the same thing? Like, why? And why? And then I'm like, why am I here again? Like this rotary door. And you really feel like you're dealing with the mentally insane, because you're like, nothing that makes any sense, nothing that's intelligent, professional, educated, moral, common sense. It's like they don't even acknowledge it. So you think you're bringing in the right people, you're talking, you're showing evidence of drug use and this and that, you know, whatever it may be. And now, you know, obviously we've come a long way from this point, but you're saying, my Lord, like I raised a child, that child's an upstanding human being in adulthood. I'd never had these kinds of issues. And then the other parties calling, I didn't even know what, I've heard it back then. I heard of Child Protective Services. I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that like my family, we had nothing to do with stuff like that. And we just, you know, you keep it in the family, and it's like a good family. So, and you know, not bad stuff, I'm not saying, but we never dealt with stuff like that. So I had a bad idea of, not that I had a bad idea. I had like an idea of CPS just not being something that would involve itself in good families. Now we know that CPS just puts itself anywhere. Okay. And of course we've all probably had the idea that that CPS, protected children. We thought that until we learned later that it's one of the biggest frauds that's perpetrated the human race, And, excuse me, I'm just going to lower the fan a little bit. All right. So the next thing that happened is, it was one particular judge. At that time, it was Mizell. And then when I realized she would not protect my son, and then things were escalating on that end. Yeah, it is a freaking Twilight Zone. When I realized it, at this point, let me just tell you, at this point, I probably had about 20 people, 20 families that were like, Mizell and McGinty, and mostly it was McGinty. Okay, and I hadn't been like national about this yet, but already it went tri-state, and then it went like, I was appointed to be a leader for Tri-State Coalition. And then I just kind of branched off to my own coalition just because it got so busy, and it got so overwhelmingly busy. Mind you, I'm working a full-time job, raising a child and trying to protect us. So at this point, I'm getting people coming now. I'm in New York, so I'm getting people coming from Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, all over New York. Okay. And all the same, different people, different walks of life, fathers and mothers, and everybody saying, my case is the worst. They're doing this to me because she's rich or he's rich. But then it wasn't the case, because then you had poor people that they were doing it to. So wealth had nothing to do with it. Poverty had nothing to do with it. None of what people thought was the reason was really the reason. And I was kind of like, taking notes saying, that's not really the reason. There's more to it. And of course, now we discovered what it was, but all these years preceding where we are today and the amazing success we've had today of the Twilight Zone, didn't line up properly. Okay. So then what I started doing was I did this little short documentary film, and I did a rally for reform. It was the very first rally for reform. And it's on my website if you want to see it, in front of the Ulster County Family Court, which is actually the Ulster County of Family Court, which is a private for-profit business, just like all of them are. And, I did that already. I'm just waiting for it. And so basically, hold on. So basically what happened at that point was media came out, and I was on TV all day long. They literally aired me all day long on local news. And then I had to go back again for another rally because unfortunately that little boy was murdered, and that was horrible. And so then there's a lot to that story too, but in that particular case, it's very, very hard. It's very difficult to have an appeal overturned because they're all liars. It's a system that works together to protect itself and steal from you and rob your children and rob everything and punish you for protecting your rights, protecting your children, protecting your assets, protecting everything that belongs to you, right? So what happened was, John, I know you say this about the jury trials, but the problem is that the whole system is a fraud. So I agree that we should be adding the right due process in, but the whole entire system is a fraud. So it's almost like saying, okay, listen, the foundation is horrible. It's got maggots. The foundation is being chewed up by what are those bugs that destroy a building? And then but on top of it, I'm going to add some nice marble and some nice, good stuff. But the foundation is wrong. So when we get it to where it should be, we got a whole different thing. We want to talk about jury trials. I can't even begin to tell you how many people we've had them go do a trial by jury, and then they get a pre-selected jury trial that's phonies and fakes and frauds, and then they get those 12 or 13 up there, right, to get them up there, and then when they get up there, they hurt the person worse. So no, we have to abolish and arrest, and I'm not looking at it in any other way. If it's a crime, it needs to be abolished, and the system needs to come down. It is an evil, wicked system. It is tyranny, and American families have been completely lied to on every single angle. So I don't understand why we're going to try to fix something that's not broken. You know, you can't even crazy glue this because it's not broken like the lie that even the attorneys will admit that it's broken. Well, that's because they're liars. Let's face it, they're liars. So they're admitting it because they don't care. They're trying to pretend, they're trying to play on your compassion, like as if they're there working for you when they know darn well they aren't. They're seeing how much assets you have so they can rob you. And then if you're poor, they know they can rob you there too because you're an asset too. Whether you're rich, filthy rich, or poor or dirt poor, you are a financial asset to all of them. And that's it. And that's it. And so there is no other way. This is how we handle tyranny in America. We arrest. I mean, this is the way you do it. And right now, we have two wonderful things that are happening. They've been put on notice verbally, and Congress has been put on notice through these congressional affidavits. Okay? That's one awesome thing that's happening. And the other is hudoc.info, where it's a full immunity for us so we can be protected by this sick evil. But listen, while we're protected, and that's a wonderful thing that we're protected, and those of us that will be protected are protected under that, and those of you that get in fast enough, side two of that is they need to go to jail. They need to go to jail. They are criminals. And this is a child trafficking industry. Let me take you back to the day of this fake arrest. I have an immaculate record. I do not have a criminal record. I don't have one mark on my record. Nothing. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nada. And and I have to stop talking again, so hang on. Back in 2017. This is going to pause for a second. Just give me 1 minute. Stay there. You want to hear this. Okay, so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to lose you. I'll wait for you guys to hop back on here. For those of you that are asking me, consultations will end by November 1st, so you guys better get in. And I'm going to talk. And this is another reason why I'm talking about some of this stuff today is about the consultations and so on, the trolls and what they've done, and the different things, which I'm not going to say too much on here. You want me to put it louder? I'm not going to say too much on here. I'm just going to say that don't mess with me. That's all I'm going to say, because I have just things that are legal that are going to protect me, period. So these trolls are very stupid. But anyway, regardless, consultations end by November 1st, so I would get them in, because you're not going to be able to get an appointment with me, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm trying to help you guys. So just, be smart about it. Be smart and get your consultation request in. And as soon as she sends you something, one of the assistants sends you an appointment, take it, or take something as quickly as you can, and stay in correspondence. Don't just drop the ball, because then wonder why I couldn't help you. I got people begging me to come to their court date, and then they didn't take care of it 2 weeks prior, which you have to. If you don't take care of it 2 weeks prior, I cannot arrange that. It cannot be arranged. Okay. And I don't mean to sound, I'm not trying to sound mean in any way, shape, or form, but it's being in severe demand. Okay. And yeah, and you have to make a decision. Do you want an attorney or do you want an advocate? That's up to you. I don't force myself on anybody. I don't take your paperwork. I don't even look at it. I don't need to. And I know how to take the head off of it. It's pretty simple. And they don't like that I can see what they're doing. So that's where it stands. So you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on attorneys, or you can do the right thing and get an advocate. It's pretty simple. It's your choice. But anyhow, aside from that, the reason I'm telling you this is that in 2017, on January 3rd, my son was literally, I have a video. My son was literally ripped away. Actually, they came into my home. Okay, I had several homes, and they came into my home and literally stole him. And they let the father, without a driver's license, drive while he was on probation, drive out of state without a driver's license. And you have no idea. It was so insane and wrong on every level. And they did that because they didn't properly serve me, which I had to prove. I proved it on January 31st, 2019. I proved that myself. And this was something that was overlooked by the court. And then just recently they served me again. They served me again, and they didn't serve me. And they didn't serve me through the proper process, which the state has already told them again. They put my name and they put my physical address on something and served it on a door of my home. And again, these are let's just pretend the system's not a fraud. let's pretend it's not a fraud for a second. The things that they do, and they do this to all families, are clerical errors. So let me talk about clerical errors, okay? Let's talk about that for a minute. Clerical errors are when you work for a company, okay? And in that company, like I worked in solar. And so I remember working in the office, right? Like executive account manager. And you have a check and balance system. And in that check and balance system, somebody checks it, the next person checks it, the next person checks it, and then you go back and check it again, and then you send it out. And why do you do that? Well, we do things like that. People should do things like that. Now, we know that the Food and Drug Administration, is killing people. I mean, we can get into all the true conspiratory things that happen, but let's just talk about certain things that are just like ethics and integrity and doing something right so that you don't harm another human being. You cause no harm. And you're looking out for them, and you're looking out for yourself. This fraudulent system, and I'm telling you this just to pretend they're not fraudulent for a minute, even within the confines of their own fraudulent system, they do wrong things. So when you make a clerical error, when you call a woman a man, for example, or a man a woman, and you put that in writing, and you indicate the wrong person, or you ignore abuse, and you put the children in danger, and you ignore abuse, or you strip away the protective parent, and you put the children in the dangerous parent's home, or you rip them apart from a biological family for something stupid, and then you put them in a foster home where you didn't check a background, and that person's a pedophile, that person's on drugs, what have you. Okay, I'm going to call those things clerical errors. Okay, that's me being nice. All right, and in a professional setting, and in our professional world, in the professional world, you don't do things like that. Okay, so in my case, having a protected address and my son having it because we were both on the protection order that Anthony McGinty removed my child from, despite the fact that he was arrested for physically harming him. And then it's compounded now, right now, today, with social media gang stalking trolls, gang stalkers, that group together, and then my son's dad, who repetitively calls CPS. And it's funny because I can call CPS on the phone and do a live, and they'll say, you never call us. They know I would never call them, but perpetrates lies, but is the actual person that's been calling CPS, just like he's been taking me to family court month after month, year after year after year, month after month after month. That's abuse. That constitutes harassment. And there's criminal charges ready to go because he's just so much a person can take, especially when my family has given money, food, traveled to let a relationship sort of be there without getting into too much about that part of it. And been so good to a person that's really, and has admittedly said, I know that I'm a F up. I know that I am not, the good in this kind of situation. Any court that would give a child over to somebody when there's somebody stable, healthy, normal that provides everything and protections on top of that and the best of everything, and intentionally does that. And I don't know if any of you remember, but it's in the book. It's in the book. There's a section that talks about that he did a court order. See, what happened was I reported 70 cases of child abuse against McGinty and Mizell, 70 victims of theirs, and I was one of them. And right after the Committee on Judicial Conduct said it was okay, and I've shown that many times, McGinty took my son from me and gave sole custody to the father. I've always had him. I've always had my son. There would be no reason for me to not have my son. So this is where P4P escalated into viral. And this is where you see history has been made. And this is where, at that time, what I did is, and I can't even tell you the exorbitant amounts of money that was spent, thanks to the grace of God, provision. And this first thing that he did when he had Christian, the very, very first thing that he did was he ran to go get child support. And it's funny because I never got child support. For a very short period of time, one of the judges, I don't remember, I think it was Mizell, finally pushed child support through. She finally did that. And what happened was he came into the court, if you want to call it that, with a fake $700 thing that he said he claimed he paid me. Believe me, I would have known. Believe me, if I saw $700, I would have known. And then he fraudulently wrote, what he did is he took the receipt, wrote my name on it, and made a photocopy of it and brought that into the court. It was all a fraud, the whole thing. And he didn't go to jail for that, but that was a fraud. And And anyway, and now what he's done is he's gang stalked. If you guys don't know what gang stalking is, you should look it up. It's the social media clowns that are making up things and constantly targeting. So what they do is they watch your Facebook pages. No matter how many times you block them, they make more profiles. They send some in. Some of them will act like, oh, if they're godly, they see that you love Jesus Christ, so they love Jesus Christ. And then you find out there's like no fruit. And what they'll do is they'll sneak those ones in, and then they'll sneak the victims in, and the least suspecting people, those that you think are least suspecting, and a lot of them don't have any money whatsoever. A lot of them, you can pay them with a carton of cigarettes. They'll sell their soul for literally a carton of cigarettes. Some of them pretend to be journalists and this and that, and they're all, you can tell they're not. I mean, they can't even spell, let alone use proper grammar, and then they're journalists, and they're not telling stories. They're not, they're not trying to break the system. They're not trying to protect true families that are being abused. No, they're just targeting advocates. And so I've learned this because like 2 years ago when they came out of the woodwork, I was just like, why would anybody attack me? I'm here helping. Like, I'm here fighting the good fight. Why would you attack me? And that's when I started to learn. And then I was like, okay, because I do have some resources, let's put it this way, that I was able to say, oh, and now I see this is a child trafficking industry. And so a lot of these political people in power and these judges and so on, sure, they're not going to show their face. Cowards. They're going to use these little peon kind of people, fall guys, if you will, decoys, if you will, right? To try to attack the voices that are making things stop and that are protecting children and that are bringing them home or stopping them right in their tracks. That's what they're going to do. And then what they try to do is they try to hard hit you in your finances. So a life of an advocate, I can only speak for myself. If David Jose came on, he could speak for himself. Sandra came on. She could speak for herself. Robert could speak for himself. I could speak for them somewhat because I'm friends with them, but, obviously what have you. But as for me, they try to attack me in the financial area. And then they lie and say, she's a fraud and this and that. Well, there's nothing fraud here. I mean, that's hysterical. And because we're revealing the truth about the falsity and the lie, and this is where you're punished for protecting not just your children, you're punished for protecting your rights. Where do your rights actually come from? Not the Constitution. Your rights come from God. So you're being punished for protecting your rights. You're punished for protecting your person, punished for protecting your finances, punished for protecting your children's futures. Okay? So this is a very serious thing. And we don't want to just leave you with the negative. Obviously, we want to bring you hope, and we want to bring you solutions, which I believe is happening at an unprecedented rate in the history of time. It's just great what's happening, right? But we also want to engage you so that you're calling Congress and you're saying, we support the child trafficking briefing. Okay? And there they come. The trolls come in and they just attack and they attack and they attack. And so now my son's father is in the middle of this. Okay? I'm putting it out there because I'm making it public. And that's what I'm doing with my freedom of speech, which is my freedom of speech before the Constitution. I've had freedom of speech. It comes from God, not man, not the Constitution. I'm just exercising my rights. And they're always going to be my rights. And no man, no matter who they are, in authority, out of authority, has any authority over my rights. And never will. The only one that has authority over me is God. Period. Right? We can all be in line with him, and we can have co-authority amongst ourselves in fellowship, and right standing. But overall, and at the end of the day, and on that day of judgment, we're all going to stand before one God. So I'm saying this because now this one woman, Lena, Lying Lena we call her, she's going around telling people that I am facing 60 days in jail. Okay, let me explain something to you. I was arrested. And I was arrested in 2017 with no criminal record before, during, or after. Nothing criminal. Ridiculous, lying, contempt of so-called court, which only personified the abuse already caused. So McGinty, now mind you, I have a protective address, repeated protection orders, and I'm not talking fake ones where somebody just makes up stories like you see, those people that heard it for innocent people who are genuinely victims. The ink wouldn't even dry and there would be another violation. okay, and another arrest. And then the funny part about it was I always got the blame for his arrests. Didn't even know him when he was 14 getting arrested. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20s, 30s. Didn't know him. So whose fault was that? But isn't that so typical of somebody who has the characteristics of an abuser, to just blame somebody rather than look at themselves and say, you know what? I need to come to a screeching halt and say, you know what? I'm doing something wrong here. Okay? And of course, because being the family that we are, we always give people the benefit of the doubt, always go the extra mile, etc., etc. And then you're forced by a court. So this is why I wrote Punish for Protecting, right? Punish. At that time, I was thinking, gosh, I remember thinking, gosh, I'm being punished for being a mother? I'm being punished for being a mother. And it was like a light bulb went off. And I know dads feel the same way. I'm being punished for being a father. What are we being punished for? Why would I go to jail? Why would I have my child ripped away from me while he's hyperventilating and clinging to me and begging not to go? And I'm watching this scenario literally take place in my actual life. Right before my eyes, the reality of it was happening. And I'm saying, how is this happening? I knew all beforehand, before that crazy day, I knew that there's something very wrong with this system, and how dark and how wicked and how evil it is, and how many families don't even know where their kids are. And I've just given up my life to do this, right? I've given up my life, and some people have it worse, and some people have it better, and some people have it easier, and some people have it harder, you know. But the truth of the matter is, it's wrong. The injury is piercing. The injury is diabolical. And whether it's a small scale or a shorter time, of course the injury is worse when it's longer and more painful, right? We know that. But nonetheless, the injury to all these families and to these children above all is absolutely so wrong. And when you go into these fake courts, what I do a lot of times is I bridge the communication gap, because there's a major communication gap from them to us. Major. And then how they twist and distort stories. How they twist and distort. So I was technically arrested and you can read the trial. The whole trial is in my book. You should really read it. Really, really, really read it. You can get it on Kindle. I mean, just go read it. It's short. And you'll see the transcripts and you'll see how it's so, you talk about kangaroo. It was such a wink, wink, nod, nod, the whole thing. Okay, and I have reputable, longtime friends anchored for generations in my family. And I kept going, if this could happen to me, it could happen to anybody. And sure enough, it is. It is. And it has been. And so one of the things I wanted to do was come out publicly and be like, your children weren't stolen. I mean, your children, you didn't lose your kids. I want to change that stigma. And I want to take that off of some of you people. You know, like people are looking down at you like you lost your kids because you're some bad person. They stole them, or they made the most irresponsible. And this is before I even knew it wasn't really a court. In my normal thinking, as an educated human being with a good, strong moral compass, I'm saying, who makes these decisions in that custody order? McGinty and Gilday, his counsel. He's a complete car chaser. I mean, oh my God, help us. Shame on him. I don't know how he lives with himself, you know? How any of them live with themselves, actually. I don't know how they do. I really don't know how they do. I don't. And you know, it's funny, and I'm going to talk about this in a second too, but in that order, it actually was, in quotations, it actually said, although the father is problematic with a convicted criminal history of domestic violence and addiction issues, it said that he's the more suitable parent. It said that. Who would be so stupid and blatant and brazen and idiotic to put that on a custody order? Do you know that custody order went through the appellate level and not one of those judges that judged, not one of them thought anything wrong about that quotation? That quotation alone should have won the case, because that is like clear-cut retaliation. Not only am I going to take the child harmfully and traumatically and hurt the child and place them in a dangerous position, but I'm also going to attack the mother in the court order and get away with it. And you know why they get away with it? Because they're all connected. So Anthony McGinty, because I know so many of his victims, I know over 200 of his victims. I know them from police officers. I know them from trying to think. I know them from just like victims that are living like literally in like welfare housing right now because they lost everything coming from money. I know them from their houses being stolen in real estate fraud. I know them from all kinds of county political people that have come to me that don't like him. I know them from just your just families that have come to me throughout the years. I know them from actually compiling, oh my God, pages and pages. It must have been this. It seriously must have been like this. With Bill Weishaupt from the district attorney's office in Ulster County. I have all of it in my database. I have all of it to see. And as a matter of fact, I used a law firm to see everything that went through my email. So it was all done electronically intentionally before it was printed by him and submitted by him. And then I knew that it went through because then the Committee on Judicial Conduct sent me back a letter saying that I would be the point of contact for this case. Now, if he left out some pictures of abuse, if he left out some specifics, that I can't say for sure. It's possible because I don't know how something like that could come back that these judges didn't do anything wrong. I mean, to me, and I've said this before, when a cigarette is physically put out in a child's arm like this, put out in the arm, and I see the picture and I see the hole in the child's arm from the abuse, and one of the judges, I forget if it was McGinty or Mizell that time, said, you will continue to send that child or you will go to jail. In that case, it said it to the mother, that you will continue to send it to the father. Meanwhile, the father at that time owed, was like $35,000 in child support, and nobody did anything about that. But I've seen the nicest dads, the most wonderful father, hardworking dads, owe $1,500 and get thrown in jail. You explain that to me. You explain that to me, that there's not some crazy stuff going on. You explain that to me, okay? But no, that's why we're going to be doing audits, okay? And they seem to think that, like, I don't know what they think. I don't know if they think that we've been coming live and we've been exposing this stuff that I don't know if they actually think they're going to get away with it. I don't know. It's possible that they think they are, or they're just they have so lack of character. They have such a seared conscience that they really think they're going to get away with it. It actually baffles me. It actually baffles me because there's people that I don't bring public on purpose that work right in the system. I mean, it's funny in a way because when I go to the family court there, the fake court, there's people right in there that are against them. Okay, so it's like they're the ones that actually come back to me and tell me exactly what happened. They tell me who was drunk on the bench. They tell me who just got done snorting cocaine during lunch. It's like they get the videos and the audios, all of it, ready to go. And they front each other. It's kind of funny because they make each other think that they're friends. I think it's funny. At the same time, a lot of them have a lot of stuff on each other. But this is what happens. So let me go back to the trolls. So basically, I have all kinds of information. I get everything. You know, people come to me and they give me everything. I get everything, and I keep it. You know. And basically what's happened is that, so my son's dad, what he basically did was he went and joined the gang stalking group. That's what they are. They're gang stalkers. And he's actually completely come out and said, you know, he lies, first of all, and pretends he's not the last person that called CPS. It was done through a couple of the trolls and him. So there's a protection order in my favor against him, number 11. It's criminal, 3-year. They're actually going to be moving it up now to an additional 3 years. And what he does is this is why this is so bad on his end. It's foolish on his end. I don't know. He's already ACD'd right now. He slipped through 2 criminal felonies. And I've gotten to the bottom of that. I know why now, but I didn't know that's what happened because I had just gotten so busy with other things. I didn't pay attention to it. I was told let's put it this way. I was told by the district attorney that he's not allowed to get away with certain things, and I wasn't planning on calling no police on him or anything like that. It wasn't even like that, but I got the blame for that too. But regardless, and so what happened was he actually got together with this gang stalking group and called CPS again. You know, and you know, there's some judges, I mean, I've court watched them, and they've yelled at people for calling CPS repeatedly because they claim they don't want the children having to deal with CPS all the time. You know, they work hand in hand, so we know that it's however the wind blows. Whatever's going to bring them more money. So we know the whole thing is fake. I do know that CPS workers in Ulster County, I mean, I think, I don't even want to say I think that there's a couple nice ones, but it's not good. The future of these people's lives are not good. They're just not good. They're just not good. You know, the indictments are definitely, there's no question, indictments are coming. sadly, in this county, as in so many other counties, a lot of people, I'm trying to talk without saying too much. A lot of people were watching each other's backs, but right now it's at a point where now they're basically telling on each other because they don't want to be the one in trouble. They don't want to be the one in trouble. And that's where it's at right now. But so basically what he did was called CPS again. And if you remember, like maybe, I don't know, a certain amount of months ago, there's other people involved in it, don't get me wrong. There was CPS call over me doing that live with Shane and Tony, who's on. And that, they just got rid of that. And then all the prior years, like from 2012, he called CPS like constantly. They didn't even bother me. I mean, they don't bother me. Honestly, they don't bother me. But they know they're not allowed on my property. They know how that is. They know that I don't consent. They know that I don't contract. But basically they would send it to other counties, and then the other counties would just close it without investigating, because they knew they couldn't. But there's laws for this, and that's just the thing. There's laws for this. So if a person just keeps using CPS and making false allegations, there's laws for this. This particular one was, I already had the paperwork already done through the school. The last day of Christian school was, I think, gonna be October 5th, I think they said. But I already had it all taken care of to homeschool him, because I will not do any further vaccinations. I do not believe in vaccinations at all. At all. My sister's a holistic practitioner. My family's extremely healthy. My son has an immaculate health record. And there's no possible way that I would do that. There's no possible way. And I find it amazing, because when Christian was born, his dad was in complete agreement to not vaccinate. No problems whatsoever. But he wants to use it as a tool now. He wants to use it to steal Christian. And he thinks he's going to put me in jail for 60 days to make up the 60-day fake arrest that I had. Okay? But if anything, they don't even understand the magnitude of the trouble that they would be in if they even thought they could get away with that. And they want to put me through another trial. There was another trial. This would be the third trial. And it makes no sense. We're going to keep wasting money for taxpayers, because he gets a freebie attorney. He gets a free one. We're going to keep taking away from Christians college, from Christians everything, to pay for attorneys, or to keep doing this game. And for what? They don't take evidence. They ignore everything. They have a pre-planned, plotted thing. It's like, that's what they're doing. His attorney puts my physical address on a paper where it's completely against the law to do that, and lets him get away with it. And they all point fingers at each other that, oh, it's not my fault. Oh, it's not my fault. It's his fault. Oh, he did that. He did that. No, you're all guilty, because the judge signed it. The clerk stamped it, and the attorney went through his office to submit it. So you're all guilty. I mean, you're all, and again, we'll call it clerical error. Well, that's what we'll call it. We'll call it clerical error. That's what we'll call it. Because, now who does that? I just got done saying, in a solar company that I worked, we didn't do clerical errors, because we didn't want somebody's solar to, start a fire on the roof of their house. We made sure things were done right. So how much more for a family, children? Do you not do this? Do you not indicate the wrong parent and by attaching their criminal record to your name? This stuff has happened. I see it all the time. Okay, so let's go back to why families in America have been punished for protecting. We know that it has to do with the children being stolen, or the children, or the fraudulent system and what they do. But do you understand that, like, everything that you've been taught from school, you've been punished for protecting your rights? You've been trained to believe things that are not true. You've been trained to believe so many things, like you have to work a 9-to-5 job or you will not have a salary at the end of the week. How many families do that and end up with nothing at the end of the week? Okay? Because you have to follow the cookie cutter plan that they tell you. But it's not the answer. Okay? The same person could go to the same college. Two people could go to the same college, take the same classes, and one can end up impoverished and the other one can end up on top of the world because of a political connection. And the other one's just paying off their college for like how many years? Think about these things. I'm sorry, somebody called. You have to do things according to what's right for you. And you have to do things according to what's right for you. And what, not because you've been programmed. And to me, I feel like there's been a lot of programming throughout lives. And then even passed down through the generations that this is the only way to do something. and it's wrong. So the fraudulent system that has birthed, okay, part of this fraudulent system has birthed because if you remember, the woman, and I'm going to get her name for you guys right now. You guys remember this? The woman that stole countless children from the hospitals, and remember that? And she actually came in as a Christian, Georgia Tan. So Georgia Tan, she looked like butter could melt in her mouth. Here, I'm going to show you a picture of her right now. This is the demon. This is the demon right here that did this to families. Georgia Tan. Georgia Tan, you guys know who she is, right? Georgia Tan. Doesn't she look like Miss Innocent? Churchgoer, church lady, Georgia Tan. So Georgia Tan, she's the woman who stole. She literally would walk into hospitals and just take babies, and the hospital staff would give them to her. I'm sure the security guards there and the police would help this innocent-looking church woman steal kids. In 1990, here, I'll read it to you. The Los Angeles Times published the story of Alma Sipple, a woman whose daughter Irma was taken by Georgia Tan under the pretense of providing medical care. A few days later, Tan informed Sipple that her daughter had died of pneumonia and that the child had already been buried. Okay? And so this woman got away with, I'm trying to remember, let's see if this tells me. It was like outrageous amounts of thousands of children she stole. And I really feel like CPS is, it's actually started July 18th of 1891. 1891. You guys are talking about like things happening recently. Like you guys have talked about like things happening recently. Fathers haven't had children for how many decades, and that is true, right? Fathers, that is true. But we're talking back in 1891, taking children right from the mothers, practically from the womb, giving birth, and like this psychopath came and took them. And basically, it was the Mississippi Children's Home Society, the Tennessee Children's Home Society that was involved in all of this, and the foster care, the whole entire foster care industry. So there's a lot. You might want to read about Tan and how she mistreated children. She harmed them. She had sexual abuse to children, neglect, and murder. Okay. So do we, like, this psychopath that posed herself as, this Christian woman, and I'm a Christian. I'm not putting down Christians per se, but I do see this. I see a lot of this. I see this with the gang stalkers on Facebook. I see it. I see the same dark spirit in these people. I see where, actually here, let me read this. It says, Tan is estimated to have stolen over 5,000 children from New York to California. Okay? The children's adoptions were never investigated, and no child was ever restored. Not one child was ever restored. Eventually, she died of uterine cancer. 3 days before the state filed charges against the entire society. All right. So, I mean, there's a lot more on her. I like to use her as a sample. It's important that you look her up. Hi, Ronald. Hi, Natalie. It's important, that we look her up because she, to me, look at what she pulled off. But now look at this whole system on a whole, and as many times I've talked to CPS workers, and they're phonies. They think I'm stupid. They really think they're going to get over on. Sometimes, most of them just shaking their boots. But occasionally I get the one or two that like actually think they're going to get over on me. And they don't even realize what I'm taking down. I always record is what I can tell you. Always record. Always have what you need. And just remember that we would not be doing this front lines if we didn't have the connections that we have. Major connections. And I sit back and I look at like how a lot of political parties attack certain political parties, for example. And because I'm talking to such a vast audience, I don't want to label a party. I really don't want to go that because I'm trying to talk to human beings here. I don't believe in labels. And I think that there's bad on both sides. And I think there's a little bit more bad on one side than the other, but there's bad on both sides. And I think that there's some good on both sides. I think there may be a little bit more good on one side than another, but still, it is what it is. And hopefully, we're here to awaken people that still have some kind of a human conscience, to be awakened and to be able to remember that we're supposed to be the human race, not a political party. But I'm thankful because I believe and I see that there is major breakthrough, a major change that has occurred, and that is by the grace of God above. That there is major change and major breakthrough that has indeed occurred, and we are in that pivotal point right now. I am going to only be doing consultations until November 1st. So if you don't get it in, you're not going to have an opportunity to have me help out with those cases. I do have another direction that I am moving into, and little by little, you guys will be able to see where it's going. I do believe that we are going to have the system completely down. I believe there's going to be numerous indictments, numerous arrests. There's I believe a revival will be birthed out of this. That's why the warfare has been so intense. There's never been warfare like this. I'm telling you. We are going after the child trafficking industry. It's not just the child trafficking industry, the child trafficking sex industry. We are going after that. It's had a very good camouflage for a lot of years under the guise of a court system, under the guise of child protective services. No. So David Jose talks about CPS. I talk about family court. It's one thing. We're just kind of balancing it out to get you guys to understand. We're pulling in the CPS victims, pulling in the family court victims. You're the same. Don't think that you're mine wasn't CPS. Okay. It was all the same thing. It's all the same thing. Listen, when you're dealing with an ancient foe called Satan, the devil, evil, whatever you want to call it, however you comprehend, I believe, in Jesus Christ. So I believe there's a real devil, real heaven, real hell, real moral people, real very evil, wicked, and immoral people. But I try to talk in a language that everybody can understand because you've all been victimized. Satan is an ancient foe. And so it wasn't as blatant as, I've heard people say, the devil doesn't come at you in a red suit with horns, because then you'd know it was him, right? No, he comes at you as a judicial system, a political system, a hierarchy system, a system of supposed order and law. That's not. Okay? Anything anti-Christ is anti-Christ. Anti-Christ spirit. Anything that's not Christ would be anti-Christ. If you're not for me, you're against me. And there's so many pastors, well-meaning even, that interpret the Bible to suit something that's not the Bible. And so the Bible gets a bad rap, or the variations of the Bible, right? Or various new Bibles that are out there that are watered down, that are what have you. And it's not the right message. And so basically what's happening is that it's infiltrated the church, so to speak. So to speak. I say that so to speak because really we are the temple of the Holy Spirit. We are, not the church buildings, not even many of the people in it. And so this is a spiritual battle. And so an ancient foe can very sophisticated, very intellectually fool masses of people, and has done a very good job at it, let's face it. And so we've had to come in and literally shine the biggest light ever and show the biggest, Hitler. You look at that and you're like, yeah, that was evil, that was wrong, he was evil, he was wrong, look at how many people he fooled, look at how many people he murdered, look at the children he's harmed, look at the this, the that, and the other. I don't think that that's even a tenth of what has happened with this system. Okay? And it's more obvious to people when it's obvious in your face. When you see, I hate to even say this, but the burnt carnage and so on and so forth. But most people don't see what advocates see every day. Most people don't see the crying children. I see them. I talk to them with their parents, with their mothers, with their fathers. I talk to them. The courts don't do that. Courts don't do that. They do their Lincoln hearing, and in the Lincoln hearing, they're going to have the child's attorney sit there. So the child's afraid to talk. Child doesn't feel safe to talk. The child will lie. The child will love their abuser. The child will lie for their abuser. Many times a child will lie about their good, loving, protective parent because they're afraid of their abuser. Common sense. And the courts are not, designed to have the psychological training to understand that. But even if they did have the psychological training, because they push all that, they force all that stuff on people. You're going to take this evaluation, you're going to take this mental health exam, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this. It's all set up. It's all more of the, it's all this incentivized stuff, right? So why would any of us want to waste a second more of, I know I don't, of our precious, precious lives in a system that is such a fraud? I don't want to paint the walls. I don't want to put air fresheners in there to make it smell better. I don't even want to have nice people at the entrance now, and we're going to say, "Oh, come to court." We're going to try they're trying these new things now where we're going to just try to be nicer to the people. Like a business, you know what I mean? We'll be nicer to the people. Oh, let's make the child's daycare room even nicer for the kids. And let's spend a little time now. Let's have the paid attorneys and let's have the fake public pretenders now to actually spend time. Even spend 10 minutes. I know you used to spend a second before you walked into the court. Now I want you to spend a whole 10 minutes with your client and act like you really care. Look them in the eyes and tell them that you really care about their case. It's all bull. And what they're doing and what they've been doing lately, because the family movement that's actually finally moving, we've made such an impact, such a powerful impact, that now what they did was they started merging all of the family courts into the CPS buildings and the DSS, Department of Social Service buildings, all together with the elder, everything, right, in one building. So it's one-stop shopping for all your family's disastrous needs, right? Now what they're doing, and New York was probably the first, I think, to do this. Now what they're doing is they're actually they're going to merge all the judges in one building. Divorce, circuit, family court, all of it, so you can have it all heard together. I think of this and I'm going, I court watch these suckers. They can't even handle what they've got in front of them now. They're going to put it all together? So now when you have 2 and 3 judges making the decision for a family, and they're all wink, wink, nodding to each other as they line their pockets, as they destroy your families, we're just going to let them get away with all the years past. And now we're going to pretend like, wow, you had 3 judges there. They can't all be wrong. It's already disaster with 1 judge making decisions without any protections for these families. But now we're going to have 2 and 3. Yeah, that's good. But it's falling apart. So just so you know, now that I court watch, it's more and more sparse. There's less people. So it's happening. I'm just going to tell you, it's happening, and we are taking it down. We're taking it down. But I'm giving myself till November 1st for consultations, and that's it. That's going to be it for me. Now, if the Lord's going to have me in the restoring families part of it, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure about how that's going to work. My assignment here was to take it down. My assignment here was to expose it. My assignment here was to make sure that they go to jail. My assignment here was to hold them accountable. Anthony McGinty, the quote-unquote fake judge over my supposed case, I got some stuff now that I've just been kind of waiting for. I literally just got smart and I just decided, okay, nothing's going to win because it doesn't. I won. I have my child. Everything's good. He's back. I have sole custody like I did before. But I already am 20 steps ahead of their game. And ethically, he has no right even being on it whatsoever. But he just keeps entrapping himself over and over again, which is kind of funny. But that shows, to me, that just shows the set of kahunas, that shows the arrogance behind it. Like I said, Gary, this one guy that's actually a paralegal, he appealed him. And when he went up to the appellate court to do oral argument, he was there. So it wasn't like he was there to hear what was going to be said against him. No, he was there to make the decision if he was the person that did this harm to the man. Like, this is the kind of insanity that they get away with, or have gotten away with in the past. So So we have a list. We have a list, and we want all of you to have all your judges. Let's be ready. Be ready. I mean, these timelines that I've done with these consultations, these are something you can use into the future. All for your recompense. And of course, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So I hope I hope that this was helpful to people today. I will go back and read your comments. I do need you guys to keep calling Congress. If any of the congressmen, I doubt it, but at this point, if any of them say, no, I haven't seen the briefing, get their email, CC me, and send it to them. But make sure that you tell them that you are in full support that child trafficking, the gateway door to child trafficking is family court. And the whole thing is together. The whole thing is together. Family court, CPS, foster care, forced adoption, medical kidnap, and real estate fraud. It's all one thing. It is amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing how we have been asleep for so long and have allowed this? It's just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. Make sure you also go to whodoc.info and you opt in for your protection and your immunity, because we're in some rough times, my friends. We're in some rough times. And you're going to need those protections. We all do. No question about that. And I will go through and I will read any comments. My husband is dealing with the same. It is so heartbreaking. I'm so sorry, Ronald. Oh, I know your story, and I do agree. I do agree. It's absolutely, it's just wrong. It's just, all I can say is it's wrong. And, together we are very much empowered. We are very much empowered. I'm sad that I didn't see David on here. I thought he was coming on. I was very late getting started on this. Very late, and just one thing after another. But the life of an advocate. The life of an advocate. I've given up work for 2 years straight now to be attacked by social media gang stalkers. And I haven't said everything that they've done. I haven't said everything that they've done, but literally I've had to jump through many, many hoops and juggle a lot to keep going. Francesca, the top judge is looking to give the family courts more authority. Let me see. In what state? In New York? It ain't gonna happen though, Ronald. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. They're literally grasping for straws right now, and the whole system is going to implode in on itself. Mark those words. Mark those words. Alice, I have so much to tell you about here. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this up, my friends. God bless each and every one of you. November 1st is going to be my last consultation, so you guys should really get them in. That also would mean that if I'm going to travel anywhere for anybody, you get your court dates in. We got very limited time. It should be pre-booked 2 weeks in advance. Should be. And I got more coming on the horizon, by the way. I'm working on book 2. Book 2 is going to be about what has happened since what happened. And I'm also working behind the scenes with a couple of movie deals. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And then the magazine did come out. I don't know if you got to see it. I got the cover and I got the center part about Punished for Protecting the New York, the family court, the injustice of family court. And you're saying New York. I did see that, Ronald, and I also have the whole entire narrative. And also Judge Fiore, she actually finally wrote me back because I was so pissed off. I told them off, and she wrote back. Well, she didn't wrote back. I have to get the email. And she said, we are in acknowledgement of your da-da-da-da-da. And I wrote back, and I have to go looking for it. They're just a bunch of jokes. They're a bunch of jokes. They literally are a disgrace. They're a disgrace, from Como to every judge in New York to ACS down in New York City. Okay, the damages and the abuse to children, it's disgusting. CPS in every county in the state of New York, in every county in every state. Okay, these people are vile, foolish people. Okay, I'm going to say this. They're very, very foolish people if they are human. If any of them are indeed actually human, what they have done and the damages that they have done, if they had any backing, any background in social science, and seen the damages that they caused these children just from the mere removal of children, okay? I mean, we should be up, this country should be up in arms. That's why I say, occupy Congress and keep calling, because the taking of the child, okay, and then asking questions later and taking you to court later, okay, violates due process. violates due process, and yet we've allowed them to get away with this. We've allowed them to get away with this. We've allowed them to get away with too much that is completely wrong because we literally believed all the lies. There's so many lies. I mean, I'm sitting here emphasizing the lies about this system, but there's lies being told to families everywhere. Don't you want to be free? Don't you even know what it is to be free? Because you've been put in bondage from this thinking system that has thought for you and told you what's right and wrong when there's no moral compass in what they tell you. Right and wrong comes from God. Your rights come from God. And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. But it's too bad. It's too bad because I promise you it's over. And I'm so thrilled. So let's get those Congress calls in. Please, guys, keep doing it tomorrow. And I'm going to ask some of you to please bring teams together. Bring teams together. If you speak well, especially, call up. Don't spend too long with these people on the phone. Just let them know. We want them arrested. We want it abolished. And we stand in support. It's pretty simple. And let me have your email, please, and CC me. I have scripts all over my page. All you need is there. Okay? And then opt in with whodoc.info. They're two separate things. Very complementary. Both are protections. One takes it down. The other one protects you. What more could we ask for? It's a beautiful thing. God bless you guys. Have a good afternoon.